Hi everyone, Vaclav Smil brings the numbers and he calls bullshit on net zero. If you haven't been following me, my name is Robert Bryce. I write about the energy and power sectors and I've been doing so for more than 30 years. I've written 6 books, I've co-produced 2 documentaries. This is my purpose and my passion. This is all I do. So if you want more content that focuses on the real story, on the facts around energy and power, then by all means follow me, like, share, subscribe, all of that. Okay, so back to Smil. He is one of my intellectual heroes, and I have a dozen of his books. He's a remarkable intellectual. He's at the University of Manitoba. He's Czech-born. He's now 80 years old. He's published 50 books. He's a polymath and understands all of these different things in society, and he synthesizes information probably better than any other living author. So that's why I'm talking about him today, because just a few weeks ago, Smil published a report for the Fraser Institute in Canada in which he calls bullshit on net zero. And it's a 45-page report. I excerpted in my Substack that I published this morning. And what does he do? Well, he brings the numbers. And in the piece, I explained that in 2019, Smil gave an interview and he called himself an old-fashioned scientist. But he also said, I'm quoting here, you have to bring in the numbers. And that's what he does in this report for Fraser Institute. He lays out the enormous scale of our energy and power systems. He understands the enormous amount of labor that's required and also the amount of mining that would be required for any of these net zero notions. And that's really all they are. They're notions. And yet this net zero craze, and I think that that's what it is, has really become almost a fever pitch. The U.S. government under the Biden administration has pledged to reach net zero emissions by 2050. You have 21 states that have pledged either net zero or 80% emissions reductions by 2050. About 100 cities have done the same. There's this kind of a herd mentality when it comes to the idea of massive cuts in greenhouse gas emissions, and Smil isn't having any of it. He goes through very carefully and says, this is what we're facing. This is effectively impossible. And he uses that word, impossible. He also puts particular focus on copper, which is an issue that I spoke about on this channel before, and points out that we have declining ore quality all around the world in all of these mines. And because of that, there's simply no way that for the world's copper mines to produce enough of that metal to meet these goals that are being laid out under these net zero schemes. So it's an important paper. I was glad to write about it because, as I said, I'm a big fan of Smil's. Have a dozen of his books. The best is Creating the 20th Century if you want to get one. But I'll stop there. By all means, check out my Substack. The title of the latest piece is Vaclav Smil calls bullshit on net zero. And you know where to find me. RobertBryce.substack.com. Thanks a lot. See ya.